Hey guys, welcome to my show. It's a beautiful day. It's as good as it's going to get. I just wanted to weigh in and talk about the middle class in the country and the media. So, for the past several decades, the middle class has really been squeezed. The middle working class people have been just completely decimated, and they are the ones that are losing. The rich are gaining and the poor are gaining because the rich, of course, have seen an increase in their income, and so is the poor. And the poor doesn't actually have to work, they can collect welfare. And so those are the two classes that are least affected by um, the destruction of wages. The class of people who've been really hurt are the middle class. You need a bachelor's degree many times to make a decent salary, and the college graduates are usually the top of the class, top of their high school class, which is a small minority. And so the majority of people out of each graduating class who are not going to college have really been hurt. And so, why is the media lying to you? Why is the media constantly spinning these false narratives? And why are the media not talking about this? And I think it's obvious. Our political leaders don't want you to know. In fact, now the Republicans are coming out and saying the economy is better than ever. You know, we have all this job growth. We have blah, blah, blah. More people working than ever. That's not true. That's not true. And the jobs that are being created are low wage, low skilled jobs. So again, the media is constantly harping on untruths and lies, partisan crap that gets nothing solved, nothing done. And the real truth is not being reported on and hasn't been reported on in several years. And so they don't want you to know that. Now, why don't they want you to know that? Because they want to keep their positions. They want to keep their jobs. Okay? And it's worse now than ever. It's always been like that to a certain degree, but it's worse now than ever before. We have never in the history of America been bombarded by as many lies that is being thrown at people than we are now. It's 24/7. If you turn on CNN, if you turn on HLN, if you turn on Fox News, the lies and the bullshit is just so out of the realm of reality that nothing is ever going to get solved. If we don't have a legitimate media and a legitimate press in this country that are reporting on stories that affect the majority of people, mainly the working class people, if we don't have that, then the problem's not going to get solved. And so thank God for alternative media. Thank God for Facebook and Google, right? Because it gives rise to truths that you would never hear about in the mainstream media. And you know, the family unit, the working class, the loss of the church, the opiates that have flooded into the market to the working class, that's destroyed many families. These all are from the elite. These are all problems created by the elites, and the people in power have helped that. So, and again, I believe that the opiate crisis is a manufactured crisis, And if anybody's to blame for the opiate crisis, it's our leaders, it's the elitists who run these companies, who now all of a sudden want to solve the problem they created. But that's a different topic. The people who've really been hurt are the white working class, not just white. This is an American problem, but Appalachia and in the Rust Belt states, and even some of the southern states, they are the ones who've been destroyed, and there's nobody looking out for these people because the leaders don't, in the end, give a shit. The leaders care about their power. They care about keeping their jobs. They're willing to take corrupt money from these parties that we have. And so it's really the best of two evils. I mean, who are you going to vote for? Are you going to vote for a Democrat? No. Are you going to vote for a Republican? Well, depends. Right now, the Republicans are a little bit more honest than the Democrats. The Democrats, once you divided, the Democrats have gone to this identity politics narrative that will never get anything solved and will only divide further. And we are already a divided nation. But what they don't tell you is that wages have stagnated for years and that wages are going to continue to stagnate. That's the main thing. And the reason that wages are going to stagnate for years to come that's a very complex issue, but one of the main reasons is technology, okay? This is a really long issue, and I don't want to go over it too much because you guys don't seem like you're interested in what I have to say now. But part of the reason is the people on the top who run these companies, the major manufacturing companies, which used to be the majority of jobs in America. The majority of men went and worked in these factories and made enough to support themselves and support a family. Those are the jobs that are going away. And the reason that is because technology is getting better. And technology is only going to get better as the years go on. So it's not going to get any better, unfortunately. So don't let people tell you, don't let the news tell you like things are better. No, they're not better. Not with the working class. It is true things are better for the elites. Things are better for the people at the top, but the majority of people, things are getting harder and harder. Not to mention we have a spiritual problem. We have a problem with the churches nowadays. We have problems with communities. So a lot of men don't feel like they have anything to really work for. And so when you don't have anything to work for, when you don't have a family and a wife, and when you don't have that, there's really no point to work. And so, and I'm talking about the working class people. I'm talking about the people who used to do manufacturing jobs, who could start at a company and stay there for 25 years and eventually retire. That's the majority of people, and those are the jobs that are going away. What's being created is kind of an illusion. We live in kind of an illusion. The jobs, they're temporary jobs. These are not good jobs. These are gig jobs. These are hourly jobs with little benefits, no long-term career path. They're bringing in people. They're bringing in the white working class, or the black working class. It doesn't really matter. That's an illusion, the whole race thing. But they're bringing in the working class, and they're telling them they're not good enough, and there is no safety valve. Now, this has happened before. at the Gilded Age, at the rise of the Industrial Revolution in the 1890s, when America's Industrial Revolution started, it used to look a lot like it did today, minus the technology. But what's different now than it was back then are the politicians, are our leaders. There's nobody in Washington who's willing to address the problems of the working class that used to work in these manufacturing facilities and steel plants and stuff. Whereas before, at the Gilded Age, there was politicians that stood up against these corporations and introduced legislation that helped workers and stood up for workers. But today, there's nobody doing that. Back then, you had Teddy Roosevelt, who was a member of the Republican Party, but he was considered a progressive in that he created unions, he helped create workers' rights, he helped unionize a lot of the jobs, and so workers were able to negotiate with the managers and work out a deal. That doesn't exist as much anymore. A lot of the manufacturing has moved out of state, has moved out of the country, and there's no negotiating anymore. Working people are being used like they were in the Gilded Age. There's no union for the working class. And so the working class has given up. The working class has turned to drugs. The working class has turned to prostitution. The working class has turned to prison, breaking the law, going to prison, going to rehab. The working class has basically disappeared. Instead of somebody fighting and the working class standing up against this and going to Washington and marching and getting their voice heard, they've basically given up. The working class has basically given up and laid down. And unfortunately, I don't think anything's going to get better. So don't put your faith in things of this world. Don't put your faith in consumerism. Don't put your faith in that lie, that 20th century American dream, white picket fence house. Don't expect that, because you're eventually going to be let down. You have to, if you're a working class, accept the reality that you are going to become obsolete, that you are going to be disadvantaged, that you're going to be poor. The only way that this is going to get better is if we have politicians who understand this, and we don't at the current moment, because the institutions don't teach this. They don't want people to know why things are not working. They want you to believe that everything's okay. They want you to believe that things are getting better, even though the empirical results are in. The empirical results say that things are not getting better, things are getting worse. Just look around. The community's gone. There's nowhere to turn. You can't go to your local church, talk to your neighbors about this, because we're insulated, we're divided. And that's what's different nowadays than from the 1890s and the early 1900s. You still had community, people banded together, got together, marched on Washington, demanded their politicians do something, demanded their politicians draft legislation in the favor of the worker. And that is not happening anymore. And the reason that's not happening is we are divided. We are no longer of the same faith. We are no longer of the same values. We are no longer of the same belief system culturally. And so we're divided. We don't know our neighbor. We hate our neighbor. The church, I don't even want to go into the church. The church is just, I don't know. The church is gone. The community is gone. And so when people no longer know their neighbor, when people no longer share the same values and the same belief system, when the majority of people have bought into this consumerism lie that's sold to us, that divides us. When everybody's out for themselves, when everybody's getting that money, getting that hustle, right? They're worried about themselves. They're not worried about their neighbors. And unfortunately, that's how the majority of Americans think. And when this collapse does happen, because it will happen, I've listened to videos from high society, from conventions, because the billionaires who run this world have conventions. And I've looked in, and I've heard the language, I've heard what they were talking about. They know what is coming. And thank God for YouTube. I will say that. YouTube is one of the last places where truth is told, because truth is not being told on the radio. Truth is not being told on TV, in magazines, advertisements. So the billionaires know the crash is coming. The politicians know the crash is coming. Who doesn't know the crash is coming are the working people, are the people who are blinded and are sheep. They don't understand. And they're not going to know their neighbor, and they're not going to have any help when the crash comes, because they never made the attempt to get to know somebody. They never made an attempt to get to know their neighbor. They may know their significant other, they may know their kids, but they never actually made an attempt to get to know and to form a tribe with any group. And so when the crash does happen, they're not going to have any help, because they're not going to have any friend, because they're not going to have any community that cares enough about them. The billionaires are fine. The elite are fine. The politicians are fine. They're going to be fine when this crash happens. Who's not going to be fine are the majority of people, the working class, the people who actually make this country run. Those are the people who are going to lose. I hope everyone understands that. This is a dire situation. The boomers are fine. The baby boomers are fine. They've lived a decent life. They're going to die soon in their old age. They're going to be okay. It's my generation who's going to suffer. It's the working class people who are going to suffer. A problem that was created by the boomer generation, nonetheless. My generation is going to have to clean up the mess that the boomers left. Thanks. That's all I got, guys. Like, comment, share, get the message out. We need to educate people, because if we band together, we can save this nation. But if we are divided and blinded by consumerism, by the lie that's being told 24/7, by our jobs, by our success, if we are insulated and blind, this problem is not going to be fixed. Thanks, guys. Like, comment, share. If you like what I do, go to jbales.com. Sign up, get a free newsletter. You'll get a free article in your mailbox. Every week, you can join, you can discuss, you can get my feedback for free. Get the word out. Thanks.